Hi, everybody. Good morning. It is morning, and it's Mother's Day. Putting things in a chronological frame of mind. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. And I'm doing my first commercial. This is my 65th interview. And my first commercial is all those out there who are watching, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Subscribing means you just hit that little button, doesn't cost anything, and subscribe, and it kind of helps us grow and spreading the word and the mission of doing these really unusual, interesting interviews. And today is a departure and an evolution for me, because down the road I had met Michael Turner, and it was great chemistry. We met on LinkedIn. Great chemistry, and Michael has been so forthrighteous. That's a great word. So forthrighteous, and he's been helping me find people to interview, and it's worked out really well. It's been an ongoing thing, just a great friendship and collaboration. And this morning, Michael and I chatted early on Mother's Day, and he told me about the interview he was doing with Linda Truong, who's an honor student at Brookdale College, studying psych. And this all just came together. Michael was planning to do an interview with Linda anyway. So we said, well, why don't we just do this under the banner of Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. And I'm gonna kind of exit, sort of. I'm gonna sit here like I'm a little kid who's supposed to be quiet and not heard. And I'm gonna let Michael and Linda do their thing. The title of this is Mike Sits Down with Brookdale College Legends, i.e. Linda Truong. And you guys can now take it away if you need me to jump in. I'm here. Otherwise, I will be silent and observe, but anytime you want to ask me something, I'm here. So why don't you guys take it away? And it's a pleasure to meet you, Linda and Michael. It's all yours. Michael.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. I'm a Brookdale student with Linda, and this show is about the legends of Brookdale, right? So Linda right now is wearing a green headband, and I want you to know why she's wearing a green headband for us today. So Linda, why are you wearing a green headband?
Why am I wearing this green headband? Oh, well,
yeah.
So today or this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, correct? And yeah, we are supporting mental health. They're wearing this green headband, and they're the conversation we're going to talk about today. It's very exciting.
Great. It is very exciting. So now, Linda, you're not wearing your glasses today, and you always wear glasses to every event I've seen you at. And now you're not wearing glasses. What's going on?
I actually have them right here. I should probably wear them. My headband was like squishing my glasses, so I was like, all right, let me put them on. Now I can see better.
Okay, great. You ready? Ready? Okay, so let's be serious about it now. Ready? So this month is Mental Health Awareness, and Linda is a psychology honor society of, what is it, PSI? I don't know how to say it. Can you say the full name?
Psi Beta.
Psi Beta. And she's the president, and she started it. So we booted the second version of PSI Beta, the better version, right, Linda? Because it has your name attached to it. So tell me, now let's talk about you. And it's your show, it's your spotlight. You have 10, 15 minutes to talk about you. And if you need help, I have some questions for you.
Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you for having me, guys. I guess to start off with Psi Beta, it started really in my senior year of high school. Well, more like the summer. So I kind of knew going into Brookdale, I wanted to be involved because I felt like in high school, I really didn't take the opportunity and take advantage of, I guess, my high school experience, especially with academics. So over the summer, I kind of made like this really big plan of what organizations I wanted to be involved in, how I wanted to be involved. I actually have like my piece of paper of like my entire plan. And yeah, Psi Beta was one of them. I guess because, well, for all the organizations I'm in, I definitely I strategically picked those because I want to be involved in like different groups. So for Psi Beta, obviously I would be involved in like psychology and psychology majors. I'm also in Women in Leadership and Learning. So for that, I wanted to be involved in, you know, those strong, powerful women who are driven. And that definitely hit its mark. And I'm also involved in Phi Theta Kappa, and that's for just more also driven and just more, I guess you would say, more achieving scholars in Brookdale. And with all those all together, I definitely feel like being involved definitely has helped me in Brookdale. So yeah, that's that.
Okay, let's go back. Can I
Yeah.
go back real fast? You said
Yeah.
you weren't active in your high school, but I found out in your high school, you were your student president. Why don't you, so you were student president of what school, what high school?
So I went to Monmouth Regional, and yeah, I was student council president for my senior year, and as much as I loved it, I felt like I didn't really have any like obligations as president. It was kind of just like the title, so I didn't have like the satisfaction of like really being president. It was kind of just like me being there. So yeah.
So that was during COVID though, right? So it was like everything was on Zoom, or was it because you're a freshman in Brookdale, kind of,
yeah,
sort of?
Well, for student council, it was like the beginning of my senior year, I was in person, and then in March, everything kind of just hit, and then all that virtual online stuff happened. But during COVID, we didn't do anything. Nobody stayed in contact. It was kind of just like, it's over. So yeah, it kind of ended like short, very short.
So you have, you know, it's interesting because there's 3 generations here, right? We have Calvin. I don't know what year he graduated in, but I graduated in 2010. That was like 10 years ago. And I had a graduation. So you didn't have a graduation. You went through a pandemic. You're doing it totally different than what me and Calvin went through. Calvin did it differently because there was no computers when he graduated. There probably was, but they're probably huge compared to what we have.
No
No
computers.
computers. Okay, so we have no computer.
By the way, I'm so old that we didn't even have little calculators. I had to use a slide rule. I don't know if you know what that is. You don't?
No.
Oh gosh. But anyway, so we didn't even have adding machines, calculators, nothing.
Well, so he did the math the right time. I don't know how to do math still. I'm taking statistics in the summer, and I'm going to ask him for some help because he knows how to do it the old way. That's the best way to do it. So Linda, let's keep going with you. It's your show. So what else? So you have some goals for PSI Beta, correct? You're president of one of the biggest societies on this campus that's active.
So I kind of did this in my summer too, just like planning, because I kind of knew I was going to be president. If I restarted it, I feel like that's how it would work. But my plans ultimately for Psi Beta are just to, I guess, just to get everybody else involved as much as I am, because being in student council in my senior year, it kind of gave me like a wake up call that like, it's not just about the president, like it's about the entire organization and it's about the entire club. So to just get people involved, and I'm still kind of figuring it out how I would exactly do that. I mean, I have a lot of options, but that's basically my main goal of Psi Beta.
Nice. So you had this whole list of from previous years in high school. So your senior year of high school, you made a list for what you were going to do in freshman year. I don't know anybody that does that. So how is that going, your list right now?
It's actually pretty crazy because everything I put on that list, everything that I wanted to be involved in, I made it happen. It happened. So it's really weird how that goes. I mean, I would say like, oh, I like manifested it, but it really was just because I worked to get it done. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
But do you think that list helped you? Because that's good mental health tip right there. Because you wrote down your goals, right? And your goals manifested itself because you had the goals written down. Do you think like if you didn't do that list, would it be a little bit different if you didn't do that list?
Oh, most definitely. I feel like I'm the kind of person where if somebody tells me something and I don't write it down, I will automatically forget in like five seconds tops. So I with that list, I literally wrote it every night of what I was gonna do. I'm actually gonna go grab it because I have like an entire journal filled of all the goals. Hold on just a second.
Oh no, Calvin, we gotta fill the space now. We're under
Yeah,
pressure.
well, it's easy. It's easy. I cannot believe how old I am. That you're talking about computers and things, and I didn't even. It was just being invented. A little handheld calculator. Okay, Linda's back.
She's back.
So, like this entire journal right here is full of like it's all formatted the same way. So where's the first one? Okay, so it kind of like starts here. So I wrote down like what classes I'll take, what kind of organizations I will be involved in, and just like all that kind of, and I wrote it down like throughout this entire journal for like
Wow.
Months and months. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not that many people do that though. I don't even know adults that do that. Because I worked for like 10 years and no adult, I've been with companies that don't even have a plan and they just go, oh, let's just do it. You actually have a plan, you put it together at, how old are you?
I'm 18.
But you don't have a LinkedIn. That's a shame. We had to start you with a LinkedIn to get your brand out there.
I actually wrote that in my journal, but I never got to that.
Yes, but it's not a big thing with your generation though, right? Like Generation Z, I think more is like Facebook. Not even Facebook, right? Instagram is the thing now.
Yeah, Instagram's most definitely the thing. Yeah.
So we have to start, promoting on Instagram. Anyway, so that's all about school. And I want to take a commercial break and announce. So Brookdale has this like mental health stigma thing that like it's a stigma-free zone, and there's a website you go and you read this form, and it tells you what's the purpose of a mental health stigma-free, type of zone. So I'm going to read it because, I think everybody at Brookdale should go there, sign it. I don't even think you got to be a Brookdale student, but you could be a professor, you could be an advisor, and you could be a great friend like Calvin is, right? And just sign it because it's important that Monmouth County, I think it's a Monmouth County stigma-free pledge. And the pledge is important for people that have mental health illness, like me, and other people that have mental health to speak up and be open about it, to seek help. And this pledge is, it promises to self-educate about the stigma in its various forms, encourage others to seek assistance. It shows respect for people and to be inclusive. It's important to be diverse. In this group, we have Linda as the diversest one out of us both. Show respect, stand up for me and others online, because now that we're moving from this in-person to COVID person to back into in-person, it's important that we respect each other. Everybody's different, and avoid languages that put down people. Everybody, it's different because like if you're not online and you don't know the different languages, we might not recognize that we're putting down somebody. So it's important that we learn and self-educate about those words. Be courageous and correct others. Think about personal responsibilities to daily situations and check my attitude. And remember that when recognition is coupled with re-education and understanding, health-seeking actions can be taken, and a full stamp out stigma and clear the path to health-seeking behavior. So it's like a whole, it's on the Brookdale website. I'm gonna put it in the link in the comments, or Calvin can do his magic if he wants. And we can have more, we need 500 people to sign it. And I think it would be a great commercial break for us to talk about the stigma-free zone and to transition into my next set of mental health with Linda, because Linda, as a psychology student, and hopefully you won't be a psychologist. What was your goal, your end goal?
For now, I'm pretty indecisive, but for now, I'm either going to go into political psychology or I want to be a school counselor. Yeah.
There you go. So she's all about mental health, and political psychology is very important nowadays because we see this swift of, political change in our system with Biden and Trump and everything. And we don't understand the psychology part of it. And that's like such a new thing. So Linda, what's your mental health tips that you use at Brookdale to keep you sane or insane, whatever word you want to use?
Well, I first want to talk about that campaign. I love that campaign. I feel like it's pretty great because, even though we know that Brookdale, I know that Brookdale is a very welcoming and just stigma-free environment. That campaign really does like solidify the idea of that, and it's kind of just like putting it there, like labeling it, and I really like that. But for like stress tips or like dealing with stress, I kind of think about it in like a different way. I think about it as like, why would you be stressed if, I mean, how can I put this? Like, how can you be stressed if you were never stressed in the first place? I know I could word that a bit better, but I really believe in just like self-care, as in just preventing the stress overall. So for me and for finals, I really made sure to just get rid of like every distraction. So like no social media, no anything to distract me from doing my work, and just like time management, because with those two things, I feel like it's really just like the prize. So when you take away all those distractions and just the things that make you stressed in the first place, it kind of goes together. Like you'll never be stressed. But obviously like that doesn't always work out. So when I do get stressed, and like if usually it's with like, gosh, I really need to go to sleep, or just like fatigue, I won't ignore it. I'll just take that nap. But that's just me. And usually it always works out. So yeah. But I really do.
Always works out.
Hmm?
It always works out, you say? Every time.
For me, it really does always work out because when I work, so if I always just take away the distractions and then just all the outside nilly-nally, and I work. But usually the stress comes from just being tired and fatigue. And usually like I don't know, it always works out for some reason. Like I always get a majority of the work done before I get really tired and just really stressed out. So I just knock out and then I go back to work. But that's just how my head works.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me jump in. Let me jump on more second. So I forgot to mention, your parents own a salon, correct?
Yeah.
Are they first generation here? Or like how long have your family been in New Jersey or in the United States?
Ooh, I know. Oh, what? Well, I think my parents came here in the 80s. I'm pretty sure in the 80s they came here. And then they owned a couple of nail salons in California. So they already had like the experience of owning nail salons. And then they moved to New Jersey. And then they have one here in Eatontown. And that's a short
So
story.
I'm saying you have a West Coast, East Coast vibe going on right now with your parents. I have only the East Coast vibe.
Out of all my siblings, I was the only one born in I was actually born in Louisiana. So I wasn't born in the East Coast or the West Coast. Yeah.
Well, Calvin, look at this. We have another person that's from all over the place. Louisiana is totally like my most diverse place I've ever lived in the United States. It's so cool down there. I love Louisiana. Anyway, so you're first generation. So you have that stress too of working for your parents. So you work for your parents. You told me, I saw you on Zoom doing some parent stuff. So, well, employment stuff. So you're an employee of your parents. How does that make you feel? Like, does that add more stress to your life?
It can be good and bad. I mean, good because I love my family, and just being around my family's very like loud and obnoxious. So it's never like boring with them. But also with being loud and obnoxious, we can go with like family problems, and bringing family personal problems to work. It's not the best. So there's always situations like those. But overall, I really love it. I like working with my family. I like being around them for most of the time. Yeah.
And okay, so my last question, because I think it ties in. Did you have plans before Brookdale? Like, did you want to go to Brookdale, or did you want to go to like a 4-year school? Because a lot, like, pandemic changed a lot of people's plans. Like, people go to Florida, and then like in my mentor groups and everything, they come and say, oh, I went to Florida, didn't like it because of the pandemic, and they came to Brookdale and they like it better. So did you have any other plans besides Brookdale?
Well, in my senior year, I was like, I'm going to go to a 4-year school. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the most prestigious school ever. And then my family, my sister, she comes up to me and she's like, you're going to Brookdale. We're going to make you go to Brookdale just to like save money. And she kind of just like brushed it off like that. And I was like, oh, why are you guys doing this? Like, you guys are like you guys are like cutting off you're bottling up my potential. Like I could be doing more than this. Cause I still I think like a lot of students, they have the stigma about community college where they're like, if you go to community college, you're not like smart enough, or you just like, you're just settling. But with that, like obviously in community college, there's so many people who want to achieve such big things. And I think I just failed to realize that. So I'm actually super grateful that I went to Brookdale. I love it here. I love the people. I love the classes. I just love everything about it. So I'm really glad. And you also get to save some money. So yeah.
Okay. Now, Calvin, we're coming back to you with because we need some mental health tips. And she gave us some Generation Z tips. Now we need some, I don't know what generation you are in, but you must have some tips from back when you went to school.
Well, it's a brave new world, which is a great book, and I quote that from time to time. But before I make a comment about this, I have a praise statement to make to you, Linda. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I took some notes. You kind of blew me away with your level of maturity. I ain't no expert, but here you are talking about studying and first of all, the book you prepared outlining what you want to do. I mean, I've never seen that before, so that scores all kinds of points on the level of maturity, which is amazing, that book. Number two, you talked about studying for finals, no distractions, and also you talked about time management. And I'm sitting here underneath the camera pinching myself saying, am I talking to an 18-year-old here, or is she 30? Same thing with you, Michael. Are you 40? Are you 50? I mean, the level. So I, listening to you both, I'm saying to myself, what a brave new world in your level of maturity and your grasp of things and how you approach things. And I got to tell you, it kind of makes me feel pretty good about Z, that generation. It's like, wow. And I marvel at you guys, because I came out of the 60s with this thing going on in Vietnam, this little war, and also civil rights, and also the birth of active feminism. So I came out of a pretty good, if you wanted to be involved, there was certainly plenty of things to be involved in. And what I observed then and now, it's just a world of difference. There really wasn't support. If you had issues, everybody had issues. There really wasn't a lot of support for my generation in college. So the things you guys are talking about and support, and Michael, your commercial about, stigma-free zone and all that, I mean, it just wasn't on radar when I was in college. So, I mean, I'm making up for lost time now, trying to do what I can to give back, to understand mental health and how important it is. And I also realized, to the two of you, and I said this about a month into the pandemic, that your generation, in particular Z, are going to need more support, because there isn't a psychologist or sociologist or psychiatrist on this planet who can fully understand what's going on up here, to an entire world that's been locked in their house for 14 months. So nobody understands, and that's why your generation, the Z's, gonna need, I'm not talking about financial help, that's always there, but I'm just talking about support and understanding and talking and setting up the kind of things that you want to do, Michael, to have a place for support, and how important that is, and how important that's going to be for years to come. So I salute you both by tipping my hat in your approach and your undertaking, and in a small way, you know, we're going to share this, so maybe it can illuminate and guide and help. So what you're doing, I think, is wonderful, and it is so needed, and it's going to be needed so much more. You know, stigma-free zones, more support on campuses to help and guide, maybe getting alumni involved and sharing and having places where people can share and voice and grow. So in other words, Linda, your work as a psychologist is going to be hugely, hugely needed. And the other thing I wanted to say, even on air, another little commercial, is you talked about wanting to become a school counselor, correct? So actually last Monday, I interviewed from one of your rival high schools. I interviewed a school counselor. That's not her official title, school activities counselor at Red Bank Catholic. Her name's Kathleen Booth, and she works with groups of kids doing some pioneer work.
I think I know her.
Wow.
I think she goes to the nail salon, actually. That's so weird. Yeah.
Well, Kathleen's amazing. I got introduced to her, and we Zoomed like we're Zooming. And then that Zoom led to an official Zoom where she talked about the programs that she's helping to innovate and share with students in the whole realm of driving. You know, distractions and impaired and learning the functioning and workings of a car in conjunction. She was doing this in conjunction with the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey, who support and promote, and this project is being done in 60 high schools. So anyway, that's up there. So, you know, it's part of my commitment. And the commonality is, you know, you want to be a school counselor, and I interviewed one.
Yeah.
Small world.
Very small world.
Yes.
I also I want to add to my mental health tips, because I feel like when I said it sounded very like it sounded very unrealistic, especially with this time. You know, if I said that to one of my friends, they'd be like, Linda, it's not that easy. You can't just do the work and set away the distractions. I want to be on my phone and you know, like all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like it was kind of unrealistic, but I think it's realistic to me. Just because like I want to emphasize like drive. I feel like I wouldn't be able to do these tips or follow my own tips if I didn't have the drive to do it. But yeah, just that. And I can talk about drive a little bit more, but I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, let me give some self-care tips. So there's so many different types of people at Brookdale. I meet mothers, I meet fathers, I meet, you know, professors and advisors. And the most important thing is self-care. Everybody forgets about that. You know, nobody takes the time for themselves. They're on their phone 24/7. Like me, I'm on my phone 24/7. I think Linda's on their phone more than me. She's up until like 3 a.m. But anyway, so it's important that we always take the time for ourselves to just like be by ourselves, read a book, read Calvin's book, read a psychology book, just be open away from school and take away from, you know, your family, take away from your school, just step away from everything and go outside, go in the trees, go out into the beach. And I was at the beach today in Atlantic Highlands, and there's turkey vultures on the beach, just hanging out. And that's my self-care. I like watching the birds sometimes to get away from my schoolwork. I had some coffee. But that's my self-care tips. And I think Linda brings up some good notes. So I think we should transition to our next guest for next week, Linda. And you know who it is. I don't know if you met her. I don't know if she's a future professor of yours. But I think it ties into Brookdale, because she made a lot of self-care speaker tips through her. She's the psychology advisor for the club at Brookdale, Psychology and Human Services, I think. And she has so many different types of guests that you probably know more than me, because I'm not in the club. She wouldn't let me join. But Professor Greco Covington, I don't know, Christine. So to make this more interesting, because she's a professor, I found her notes on ratemyprofessor.com. I think a lot of students use this to rate their professors, and there's some good things, you know, and I think we should give back, and she's going to come on the show next week, and we're going to discuss self-care, and we're going to talk about what she does at Brookdale to help students like Linda become successful. So anyway, so basically on the Covington, on her Rate My Professor, is the first one that came up was, I was intimidated when she said this was a hard class to be ready to work for my grade. But by this class, by far, has been one of the most educational and enjoyable classes I've taken at Brookdale. So this is a top 5-star for Miss Covington Greco. And now let's go to the worst one she has, so we can compare. I took this, so that she has a 2.0 on this Rate My Professor. And then it says, I took this over for the summer. That was my first mistake. Very unorganized. The study material is all over the place and has nothing to do, even to do with exams. I take her class, and I think this is real biased because I don't know if they got a good grade, but I take her class and it's very organized. But she's going to be on next week, and she's going to talk about what she does as an advisor with Calvin. I guess Calvin's coming next week, you know, because it's Mike sits down with Brookdale Legends. And I want to thank Linda for taking the time out of her busy day. I know it's finals week, and everybody's, you know, stressing out about that. So thank you for coming. There's a few, Calvin, thank you for letting us share your platform.
It's my pleasure, and I'm thrilled to have met you, Linda. You taught me stuff, and what you did, and it's a great lesson for me listening to you both. The level of maturity, I said this before, the grasp, to me, it is a brave new world, and it's just good vibes listening to your you're grounded, and you've got a handle. Like I said, you're not 40 or 50 years old, but that's what it sounds like. So that's a compliment. But anyway, when I woke up this morning, I had no idea I'd be doing this. And so that's only 3 hours ago, and I'm thrilled to have met you, Linda, and Michael, thanks. And to be continued. So have a great, wonderful Sunday, Mother's Day, and thrilled to meet you, and I'm always here if needed. So thank you all.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.